24th year and well over 19,000 guests, The Ron Sedgy Show Live originates from our Universal Radio studios. Celebrities from TV, music, movies, literature, politics, and show business, at one time or another, they all come to The Ron Sedgy Show. So why don't you?
You can try fighting the law all you want, but the law is always going to win. From politicians and celebrities to sports figures and business leaders, they're fighting the law. Now, here to sort out the nation's top legal news stories is America's favorite legal analyst, Royal Oakes. This is the Royal Oakes Show.
Robbing people with a 6-gun. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
Thank you, Mike Horn, and welcome to the Royal Oakes Show, and welcome to our co-host, Mr. Ken Jeffries.
Good evening, Kmart
ABC
shoppers.
Radio. How you doing?
Okay.
Did Kmart send you a big check,
No,
a little payola check?
No, I almost said good evening, Toys R Us shoppers, and I realized they're not around, and they won't be around after a while.
They're out. Payola was a big deal, and I know you were a professional disc jockey at one point in your storied career.
Yeah, storied career.
Did big record producers come up to you with giant bags of cash and piles of cocaine and say, "Ken, please play Beat It for me, and I will make you a happy DJ"?
They told me to beat it, actually, is what happened.
No, seriously, did you ever get any of that kind of
I never
stuff?
had cocaine.
I'm not asking you to confess cocaine crimes. I'm just wondering, as a disc jockey back in the day, did you ever?
No, I was never offered
funny
payola.
business.
I was never offered payola, nothing.
Wow.
And I must have missed out on
If your ratings were better, do you think you would have been offered payola?
Yeah, probably, yeah. Well, that's why they had programs. That really started the invention of program directors at radio stations.
Really?
Yeah, to set up sort of a wall between the promoters and the air personalities.
So there weren't any managers before those crises
Well,
or those
maybe they took
controversies?
payola. I don't know, but that's what.
It's interesting.
Happened. No, and the payola was in the early '60s anyway, and that was ahead of my time.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining the show. We've got a couple of big stories we're going to talk about. Is Donald Trump about to fire Bob Mueller? In other words, are we going to be a tea bag in a constitutional crisis soup? If I can mix my food metaphors, tea and soup, I'd feel like a tea bag. That's going to be pretty stressful if he fires Bob Mueller and everybody their head explodes. We're going to be right back into the Nixon soup. We're also going to talk about whether cities in California can fight back against the sanctuary state or sanctuary city approach that is being rammed down their throat by Governor Brown and all the other Democrats that run the state of California. Our Hot Tub Time Machine feature is going to be in the final block of the show later on. I'll give you a little clue. It has to do with William Shatner, who's, I know, a big friend of CRN. You hear him on CRN occasionally.
I think he just celebrated a birthday, didn't he?
I don't know.
I saw that on Facebook.
I think he has one every year, doesn't he?
I heard he has one every year, but that may be fake information from Russians or bots
actors,
or something.
I think actors don't actually have birthdays every year. They make sure that time slows down.
Jack Benny was always 39.
That's right. That was his shtick.
Yeah.
Now, a Moron of the Week is one of our fun features, and as you know, folks, we now have two Moron of the Week candidates each show, one at the top of the show, one at the bottom. I'm going to give Ken Jeffries the number one candidate here, and then we'll vote on the two at top and bottom. And the reason there are only two of us is because our millennial correspondent, Connor Oakes, is on special assignment, couldn't make the show today. But
he's undercover.
Yes, we'll be seeing him again next week. So, Ken Jeffries, here's our first candidate for a Moron of the Week. His name is Gerardo Lopez. He's the original Drunk Uncle. You know, the Drunk Uncle skit on Saturday Night Live.
It was an old sketch. I forgot who was Bobby Moynihan, who left the show about a couple of years ago.
Very good.
Drunk Uncle.
So this guy, he's driving along in Port Hueneme, and he realizes, whoa, he is way over the legal limit. And he happens to have his 11-year-old nephew in the car. So he says, Timmy, about time you learned how to drive. And sure enough, Timmy is behind the wheel, and he's actually doing okay, except that the sheriff notices there's an 11-year-old behind the wheel and, of course, pulls everybody over, and hilarious consequences ensue. At first, Mr. Lopez tried to claim that he was just teaching Timmy to drive.
Yeah.
But as it turned out, the fact that he was like 2 or 3 times the legal limit
Not Timmy, the uncle was.
That's right. No, Timmy was stone cold sober. But, over the years, I see, kind of oddball legal stories come across my desk, and I've seen a few variations on this. There was one where a guy was very drunk, and he had his dog behind the wheel, and the dog had his paws up on the wheel. The other story I saw was a guy was so drunk he couldn't drive, so he had his blind friend drive, and he gave directions to the blind friend, turn slightly right here. So he was like Siri and the lady that talks to you in your car, only inebriated.
Yeah.
Think of Siri dead drunk. So this is a common theme, in other words.
Kind of reminds me when George W. Bush allegedly waved at Stevie Wonder. You ever hear that story? Allegedly.
I didn't hear that, but that sounds like something our esteemed former president might do. So that's our candidate number one for Moron of the Week. Stormy Daniels, she's going to be on 60 Minutes tomorrow night. I bet, Ken Jeffries, you're going to be right in front of it.
Yeah, glued to the television.
Well, no, you'd have to be a little farther back.
I can't be right in front of her.
You couldn't be glued to it. You couldn't see Stormy in all her glory. But you're probably going to be sitting there with a big box of popcorn. Are you seriously going to be watching?
I may take a look at it to see
That
keep
could be
keep it. Well, you got to keep abreast of the news.
Yeah, but how can
Or
she
abreast
say
twice of the news, I don't
she
know.
was on? Our friend Jim Murray of Inside Edition, I think, landed the first interview with her. She was very coy. She was very complimentary. She told Jim how pretty he was. Then she goes on Kimmel. She's a big flirt.
I saw the Kimmel interview.
Yeah, she gives Kimmel a big compliment too. But she was coy in both shows.
Well, at that time, the Kimmel one, because I didn't see the Jim Murray one. The Kimmel one, I think there was a few hours before there had been a legal decision made that she
Yes.
couldn't say anything to Kimmel.
Right.
Really,
That's
that would,
true.
you
And
know,
so it was essentially non-substantive. So really the question is, while all this legal kerfuffle goes on where she sues Trump in Los Angeles Superior Court, Trump removes it to federal court. In federal court, he's going to move to dismiss the suit and put the dispute into secret arbitration where he claims he gets $1 million every time she has blabbed about their agreement. So, but while all that legal wrangling is going on, what can she really say to Anderson Cooper or whoever's going to interview her on 60 Minutes without just blowing the whole thing apart and further violating the rules?
I don't know. And the interview was recorded, I think, several weeks ago, and they were going to run it, I think, last week, and they put it off on CBS or something. So I don't know, but I get the feeling that his base doesn't care. He could have affairs with 12 million women, and it wouldn't matter.
If he can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and his base won't care, that's what he said, then certainly he can have an affair with a porn actress 20 years ago, or make that 12 years ago. But yeah, I mean,
the only thing is it opens up these kind of things. I thought about this over the weekend, and going back to Bill Clinton and the the Babe Brigade or whatever they called it at the time. I can't remember.
Bimbo eruptions.
The bimbo eruptions and stuff, and back to JFK now too. And I saw a thing today on good old Facebook where they probably stole my data and gave it to that firm and whatever the heck that was. That JFK had a lot more. He was doing the horizontal horror with, as they call it, with a bunch of other women and stuff.
Sure.
Besides those that we know about, it shouldn't matter to anybody except one thing. In my opinion, it opens them up to blackmail.
Well, that's true, and especially if you bring the Russian element
And if you
in.
leak
If in fact
some
there was
secrets
some
and-
shenanigans in Russia, then that.
But other than that, that's a serious thing. But other than that, I think it's their own business. Isn't it?
I think you're right.
I don't care anymore. It's like who does what to who.
And it really would be a double standard if people were to come down real hard on Trump when, as you point out, I mean, JFK, if you believe the various books that have been written, he had a different gal in the White House about every week.
FDR, maybe Abe Lincoln for all we know. I don't. I mean, George.
Not honest Abe. No, I'm not going to believe that.
Who knows what? I mean, it's although George Washington could not tell a lie, so Martha probably was, kept his nose to the
But
grindstone.
the bottom
or
line
something.
is, as you say, it really shouldn't make that much of a difference. It'd be nice
Ex-
if our
except-
leaders
except for the
were
thing about-
honest, loyal
except
people.
for the thing that about it opens them up to blackmail, and leaking secrets. If the woman involved, say, was a spy for another country.
Right. So Joe Biden wants to have a fist fight with Donald Trump. Now, is this mature or what? And I think it's probably smart because to the extent he probably wants to run for president in 2020, and yeah, he would be 78 on Inauguration Day, but You know, 78's, the new 58.
Today, 78
whatever.
is, 58 or whatever.
To the extent he wants to separate himself from the Elizabeth Warrens and the Kamala Harrises and the Bernie Sanders and so on, maybe it's smart for him to get out there and exploit his name recognition and do something a little wacky, like say, if I were in high school, I'd take Donald Trump out behind the gym and beat the crap out of him.
Well,
it's silly, but he's getting attention.
And he's not in office now, and he's 78. So maybe the people say, "Oh, that's old Joe."
Yeah, crazy Joe.
Crazy.
Yeah, you certainly are getting that. But
well, it was answered by Crazy Trump on Twitter, of course.
Of course. It's funny. The only thing Trump won't talk about is Stormy Daniels. And he's shown such self-control. I think his lawyers have sat him down and said, you have this deal with her. You gave her $130,000. She promised not to talk. She's talking. We're going to crush her. We're going to get penalties. But if you talk, that will blow the thing to hell.
But again, he didn't sign anything, did he?
Right. But that probably is a technicality, and we don't know for sure. But let's assume for the moment that it's going to be enforceable. And I think Trump is assuming it. I'm amazed that Trump has the self-control to actually follow his lawyer's advice. He doesn't in any other respect.
In that instance. As in all caps, do not congratulate Putin for victory.
I know.
Yeah, that.
It's funny you mentioned that because I wanted to raise that next, actually. Where in the world does Trump get the idea that it's smart to congratulate Putin when you think, number one, he's basically a thug. He's an old KGB guy. He's a communist. He's a bad guy. Number two, we know he's been involved in meddling in the election. And even Trump has come along, and his government is going after indicting people and so on. And number three, there's this sensitivity about the idea that Trump is in Putin's pocket. And it's a sham. Number four is it's a sham election. Oh, I won 95%. Oh, that's nice. That's because people were told.
I heard 75%.
Only 75%?
So I wonder who the other 25% were,
I don't know, but whatever it is, the point is it's a sham. It's not a fair election. Putin kills his enemies. So why is it? I mean, don't you think it's sort of wrong morally, politically, for Trump to be congratulating
and he was told not to do it, but of course he did the opposite of what he was told to do. So I think maybe the idea is if I'm advising Trump, tell him to do the opposite of what I really want him to do.
Maybe the spin that Trump would put on it is, look, we live in a big, bad world. We have to get along with people. Look at Richard Nixon. He didn't like the fact that Mao Zedong presided over a dictatorship, the world's biggest prison camp, basically. I mean, 1 billion people under Mao, no freedoms of any kind, religion, travel, speech, crush your enemies, send them to prison. And yet, Nixon went to them, made nice, smiled, toasted, because he felt it was in the diplomatic interest of the United States. Maybe that would be Trump's approach and say, I got to get along.
However, he didn't have all these side business deals.
That's true.
With Russians and all these other people. Nixon was, by I think a lot of accounts, basically didn't have a lot of wealth, I don't think. And especially compared to a guy like Trump who brags about it all the time and maybe allegedly doing business with Russians, maybe even as we speak. Maybe that's why he didn't release his taxes. Maybe, allegedly, all that kind of stuff.
I think that we're waiting for the other shoe to drop, because when you've got Bob Mueller with about 16 really sharp lawyers and investigators digging all through Trump's finances, I mean, what are the chances that they aren't going to find something that is just going to be explosive? Maybe not collusion. I personally think collusion with Russia is probably the least likely thing.
Yeah, we had a discussion. We talked on KBC. We were discussing. Remember, we did some stories on the collusion. Really isn't the issue. It's the. No, I forgot what the.
It's the question of illegality.
The money laundering, right?
Yeah, all sorts of financial improprieties. I mean, Trump seems like the kind of guy who likes to bend the rules, and he's gotten where he is by bending the rules the way a lot of tycoons do, I'm sure. But when you expose yourself, like Paul Manafort, probably a lot of guys did what Paul Manafort did, but they didn't become campaign manager for the future president of the United States and thus inject themselves into the laboratory so that you could go under the microscope and be indicted. I mean, they're talking about Manafort going away for the rest of his life. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk about somebody who isn't in the news a lot, Ken Jeffries, but she's back now, Lindsay Lohan. She's a spokesman for Lawyer.com.
Every time I pass the Linwood Jail, which I do to go to my in-laws, I think about her.
I love it. Stay with us on The Royal Oak Show.
We'll be back on CRN with The Royal Oak Show.
Hey Lorraine, do you realize that your mother, my mother-in-law, Chef Maria, has been serving Las Vegas since 1949?
Yes, I do, Dennis. That's when she first met Howard Hughes, who fell in love with her cooking.
And in 1955, she opened her first restaurant on Fremont Street.
Yes, dear. And another great customer was Liberace.
Wow. Then in 1962, while Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack were causing global excitement on the Las Vegas Strip, your family opened their second restaurant.
And in 1972, Elvis Presley began electrifying Las Vegas audiences and eating in our restaurants.
You know, Lorraine, this is quite a town. There's only one Las Vegas.
And there's only one Bootlegger Italian Bistro.
Folks, when you're in Las Vegas, come visit us. We'll make you feel like you're part of our family.
The Bootlegger Italian Bistro, conveniently located at 7700 Las Vegas Boulevard, South Strip. Visit our website at www.bootleggerlasvegas.com.
Hi, friends. This is Larry Manetti. Go to LarryManetti.com to get my book, Aloha Magnum. You'll read all about the wonderful guest stars like Carol Burnett, Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, and many, many more. There is an episode guide and my favorite recipes that I really cook at home. I will include a free signed photo with every book. Get Aloha Magnum at LarryManetti.com. Order now. Aloha.
It has been said that everyone has a book in them. But do you have the time or the ability to write your book? Maybe you picked up some skills or had a life experience that you want to pass on in the form of a book to help others. Maybe you want to leave an autobiography for your family. Or maybe you've built a successful business and you want to share your story. At Dorrance Publishing Company, we have professional writers who can help turn your book idea into a finished manuscript quickly and affordably. A Dorrance ghostwriter can provide as much or as little help as you need to complete your book. You'll work directly with your ghostwriter to finish your book faster than you ever could on your own. It's easy to become a published author. Call Dorrance now to learn more. 800-485-8803. 800-485-8803. 800-485-8803. Call right now. That's 800-485-8803.
Destination South Point. 11 great restaurants, bingo, bowling, movies, race books, sports books, spa, live entertainment, oversized rooms, and the rates unbeatable. The South Point Las Vegas. Book now. Online at southpointcasino.com or call 866-791-7626. southpointcasino.com or call 866-791-7626. At the South Point Las Vegas, you're always a winner.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host, Ken Jeffries. So, Ken, this is fancy. We've got fancy new high-def cameras here at CRN.
Yeah,
and Jose has been directing us. He's been trying to make sure that we're handling the camera equipment.
Nice to see you. I was told I should really look at the camera once in a while. Hi there. Okay.
You know, Jose, I think...
But that's a good idea.
Your chance for an Emmy for directing just went out the window. You were okay until that. But
until I went...
Yeah. I think the chances are not so good now.
So much for class to the show. Yeah. A lot of class to the show. Okay. So I'm aware of the camera over here. Okay.
So Lindsay Lohan, many legal troubles, as we know, over the years. A troubled young woman. Hopefully she's kind of cleaned up her act. I haven't heard too much about her lately. But she has just landed a gig, Ken Jeffries. She is spokesperson for a website, lawyer.com, which I had not heard about it, but it sounds like a big deal. I mean, like insurance.com. Can you imagine?
And who better to be a spokeswoman?
That's the whole point.
Right.
But is it really a good idea for somebody who basically is a chronic crook who keeps getting arrested?
Well, maybe. But if anyone knows the best lawyers in town in Los Angeles, it would be Lindsay Lohan, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to
like
go
OJ.
that rash,
maybe OJ ought to sign up.
Why shouldn't OJ sign up and say, "Hi, I'm OJ Simpson. If you've killed a couple of people, just do what I do. Go to lawyer.com."
Well, Robert Shapiro is sort
Legal
of
Zoom.
Legal Zoom, So
yeah, that's true. That was a big deal. So there's kind of a feel-good story.
Maybe you ought to get involved in this kind of
Perhaps
racket.
so. I'm going to wait for the phone to ring. There's a feel-good story out of Austin, Texas, Ken Jeffries. A young man, he brought himself back from the brink of suicide. He was despondent. He just didn't think there was anything worth living for. And so he went down to Mexico. And what he wanted to do is just to figure out a way to end it all. And here's the headline. It's a happy ending. Guy goes to Mexico to kill himself, spends week doing coke and banging hookers, decides to keep living. Now, does that
life is worth living?
Does that make you feel warm all over?
Yeah, that's the happy story of the week.
Yeah, to know that this man turned his life around.
Well,
I don't know. Maybe he's going to have to go down there every week or so.
It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do
to make sure he's still happy and so on.
Well, that's good for him. I mean, if he that's his calling, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds like
the women are calling him. Come on down. We need your money.
Expensive calling, if you ask me. So CNN had a town hall, and I'm just kicking myself, Ken Jeffries, for missing it. Did you hear about this?
Well,
it was a town hall on income inequality, and it featured Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Michael Moore on income inequality on CNN, and I missed it. I didn't set the DVR. I'm just kicking myself.
Well, it's a good thing it was politically balanced.
Yeah,
I'm being facetious.
That's what they needed. Can you imagine? I guess there are enough progressive folks out there.
They had no one from the other side on this thing?
No. Liz, Bernie, and Michael Moore. I'm surprised there was room in the shot for anybody but Michael Moore, but, that was a cheap shot right there.
Yes, it was, but that's okay. Well,
so, another big deal story.
Wow, that's really, and who hosted it?
I don't know. I'm just so glad I missed it. I mean,
they could have brought in, although he works for Fox, they could have brought in Neil Cavuto for the other side, Stuart Varney or somebody.
It would have been like gargling with Drano to watch that show. Michael Moore, what do you think about what Liz Warren just said?
Inequality.
God. So Donald Trump thinks we ought to kill some people, drug dealers. And I don't know. Maybe he's appealing to his base. I don't know if he's thought it through. But, I mean, drug dealers getting the death penalty, first of all, let's remember it's a victimless crime. I mean, when you're talking about cocaine and marijuana and so on. I realize when you're talking about the opiates and people, they're stealing pills and they're selling them on the street and so on. And certainly it's a public health crisis. But do you really think that we should be moving toward capital punishment for people who encourage folks to do really stupid things? It seems like that might be overreaching.
I don't think so. Although, what about El Chapo? Is he still in this country? Are we going to try him?
Matter of fact, I think he's still complaining about, the air temperature in his... Didn't they ship him to a New York State prison?
I thought they did. I'm not sure what... And New York does not... I don't think New York has capital punishment. California does.
That's a good question. We have it here in California, but of course we never seem to execute anybody because it takes jillions of years to appeal. And frankly, we don't have the lethal cocktail. We don't have any of the chemicals stored up in San Quentin to kill people. But this is a good question about New York, and I think El Chapo may be exposed to both federal and state crimes. I think he is possibly looking at the death penalty. But there's a guy who they say is responsible for murdering scores of people.
Right.
Perhaps he's a more serious candidate for the death penalty than people who are drug dealers. I mean, again, I don't know why the society doesn't take a hard look at drug legalization, because when you compare the difference in terms of tragedy and disaster inflicted on the society by alcohol as opposed to folks smoking marijuana and taking cocaine, it just doesn't seem to be equal at all.
Right, absolutely. And of course, if you legalize it, you would take out the profit motive and all of that. But then you can tax it, I guess. But that's who knows if that'll happen.
Hey, when we come back, we're going to get a cheap shot against Gloria Allred. I think we're both going to enjoy that, and we're going to talk about the Facebook crisis here on the Royal Oak Show. So stay with us on CRN.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
Hi, everyone. This is Fred Dreyer with some breaking news. My new movie, Highway 395, has just been released. Highway 395 is my latest movie and is now available for all of my friends and listeners to own. Highway 395 is a classic modern-day Western thriller. Action, romance, and the frontier spirit. It's all there in my new movie, Highway 395. Now, here's the best part. You can own this movie tonight by going to my brand new website, freddryer.co. Head to my website now at freddryer.co and check out the trailer. Then order the movie for a great night of entertainment. And while you're at freddryer.co, check out the memorabilia and my career highlights. But don't forget to order my new action thriller movie, Highway 395. So head over to freddryer.co. That's freddryer.co.
Do you want to fly somewhere, anywhere in the world? Smart travelers call myflightsearch.com for the best deals on flight tickets. Going to Manila, Bangkok, London, how about Singapore? Call myflightsearch.com for the lowest flight tickets available. What about a local vacation? Let's say you want to fly to Vegas, Orlando, Miami, Los Angeles, or Denver. Pick up the phone and call myflightsearch.com right now. We have exclusive deals that you can't find anywhere else. The only way you can get these low airline prices is by calling us. We have so many low prices available, we can't possibly tell them to you right here and now. If you're flying somewhere anytime in the next 6 months and you want the lowest airline ticket prices anywhere, you owe it to yourself to save a ton of money. So pick up your cell phone and call myflightsearch.com right now.
Call 800-445-3166. 800-445-3166. That's 800-445-3166. Call now. 800-445-3166.
Kaanapali Beach Hotel, Maui's Hawaiian Hotel.
Aloha! Experience your home away from home being beachfront at the Kaanapali Beach Hotel. Begin your getaway relaxing on over 11 acres of tropical Hawaiian gardens at Hawaii's most Hawaiian hotel, voted Best Aloha Spirit by Hawaii Magazine readers. Just walking around the grounds with all the tropical vegetation, relaxing poolside, or kicking back in the sun on the world-renowned Kaanapali Beach makes you feel like you're home in paradise. There's a package to fit all your needs: wedding, honeymoon, activities, private parties, great food, or just good old beach fun. The hotel perpetuates the Hawaiian tradition at its best. Call 661-0011 or visit kbhmaui.com.
Kaanapali Beach Hotel, Maui's Hawaiian Hotel.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show and our co-host Ken Jeffries.
Hello, can I say hello to the camera one more time?
Why not?
Camera's there.
Why not?
Okay.
So, Ken, you and I both know Gloria Allred. She's been on KBC for years, and she's in a story, of course, about a lawsuit against Trump. There's a gal named Summer Zervos. Summer Zervos and Trump have been having a war of words.
This was going on for a while.
Yeah, she said he groped me. He said she didn't, and apparently he went so far as to say something that could be construed as, defaming her, calling her a liar. So she's suing. And so the judge has to answer the question, well, okay, he's a sitting president. Does a gal get to pursue a lawsuit against him when he's got this big, busy job? And the answer is yeah, at least at this point. And it's like the Paula Jones situation.
You and I discussed it, I think. And I think I discussed it with my wife and several other people, too. I was just thinking about it, where I think you can sue a president in the line of, from what he used to do.
Yeah, before the line of duty.
President. Yeah, not as he's president.
Now, you're revealing a marital privilege, then. If you're telling us what you said to your wife.
To my wife,
you have a right to keep that privilege. No, you're right. And that's the thing that we learned during the Clinton era. Paula Jones claimed that he did his naughty things to her before he was president. And therefore, when she sued him, even though he was president when she was suing him, the courts decided she has a right to pursue the suit even though he's president because it dealt with stuff he did before he was president. If she tried to sue him based on stuff he did as part of his presidential duties, the courts say no. The guy's too busy. But bottom line is this woman, Summer Zervos, is allowed to proceed now with her suit. And her lawyer is Gloria Allred, and there is a bald-faced lie. I've caught it here in the Wall Street Journal. It's a lie, Ken. It says, Attorney Allred, who represents Ms. Zervos, couldn't be reached to comment. That's a lie. There's no way that... Do you know they have determined statistically, they have an algorithm about this, the most dangerous place in America? It's not on the edge of the Grand Canyon. It's not by some sort of volcano. The most dangerous spot in America is between Gloria Allred and the TV camera.
And a microphone, yeah.
Yeah, well, you knew where I was going with that.
Yeah.
It's Gloria,
allegedly.
Gloria doesn't mind, I think, that we kid her about this
allegedly.
Stuff.
Okay.
So Facebook, big controversy here. Frankly, you tell me what the big deal is, though, because I'm not sure I get it, Ken Jeffries. Don't we live in an era where, I mean, you know you're under surveillance, except in your own bedroom. Basically, you have to assume you're probably literally under surveillance. Well, maybe with the Amazon device and your TV can pick up what you say. But
Alexa, don't record me right now. You know, right, one of those things.
When you're out on the street, red light cameras, when you're walking down the street, I think people can safely assume, probably accurately, that most of the time they are literally under surveillance. And when you talk about going on the internet, I mean, don't you assume that somebody somewhere with a few clever keystrokes, a hacker, could reconstruct every search you make, every place you go on the internet? I mean, I just assume it's kind of like when you're at on the job. Wouldn't it be stupid to start sending emails on your work computer that you really wouldn't want your boss or a coworker to know about?
Stormy Daniels, for instance.
Or the same kind of thing.
One of those things.
So if you assume all that's true, why are people getting so bent out of shape about the idea, that Facebook, there was some company allowed to access information? I mean, unless they actually steal your identity and put you through hell for 3 years. Is it a big deal?
Because this company, Analytica, what's
something
their
like
name?
That, yeah.
Is linked to Trump. And that might have something to do with some Trump.
Everything leads back to Trump. How is that?
That may be. The other thing is, us baby boomers are, and I know you referred to Marinko as a baby boomer when he.
I think technically he is. If you're
born
between 46 and 64, you're a baby boomer.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. It just is. And
you're saying we all got it's a serious thing to you, the idea that people would be invading your privacy and stealing your stuff.
We latched onto this thing, to our cell phones and to Facebook especially.
Yeah.
And we kept exchanging information, not realizing maybe everything is shared with everybody or the people we wanted to. But that was the thing. Everything is shared to the people we wanted to be shared with and not to the government.
Well, that's
some
true.
Other party.
That's true, but don't you think at this point we ought to just sort of recognize that that's the kind of society? It's kind of like Big Brother 1984. Let's just live with it. I mean, I remember this Dilbert cartoon. He's sitting there on a date at a restaurant, and he's lecturing the date. He's saying, you should never go online and you permit your credit card to be used. That's not secure. He hands his credit card to the waitress. The waitress comes back in the next panel wearing a mink coat. Well, isn't that a perfect example? Every time you go to Denny's and hand over, nothing against Denny's waitresses.
I went to Denny's last night, by the way.
I'm sure they're all honest, but every time you hand over your card, somebody back in the kitchen can be jotting it down. So what's unique about the internet? I mean, again, I assume that people are poking around.
I went to Denny's and the guy asked me and I couldn't reach over to punch in the PIN code. They had the machine the wrong.
Yeah.
And he says, "Can you tell me your PIN code and I'll put it in?" And I said, "No." Give me the machine. I'll put it in my. Yeah. He says you can trust me, and I could, because I don't think but no.
It's and we pretend at the office. IT guys will be helping me with something, and at some point he'll say, "Okay, I'll look away. You put your password in," and I feel like saying, What do you mean you'll look away? You are the IT guy. All you have to do is open up the mainframe and everything about me is in there. My passwords. What if I were to, spontaneously combust? You'd figure out my password to get stuff out to give to my family and so on. So it's like people...
Yeah, but I think part of this is the link to Trump because this is how it became... Well,
no,
this is how it became a story.
We could be onto an obsession with you, Ken. Everything doesn't relate to Donald Trump.
All roads don't lead to Trump. Trump may say so, but I'm saying that because this analytic something analytic started with a C, and I can't remember what it is, had ties to Trump. Remember that the guy bragged in this video from Britain's Channel 4 that we gave the Trump went to the Trump campaign, all this stuff, and some of this stuff was from Facebook, these apps that were linked to Facebook, and that's a problem, and so it gets political because it's. Now, if Hillary was president, who knows? Maybe this would all because the media could be on Hillary's side, and who knows
what. It'd be very different. Pantsuits, stocks would be going through the roof if Hillary were president.
Well,
it's funny you mentioned all roads lead to Trump. Jose and I were talking about it just before you came in. I think you were out. You were signing some autographs, and there were some teenage girls mobbing you.
Yeah, they're
just outside the studio.
I had to throw them off. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jose and I were saying, Trump is this narcissist, and is this the absolute dream come true for a narcissist? I mean, he has maneuvered himself into a position where he is literally not only the most famous person on the planet, he's in every newspaper, virtually every page of every paper. Now, maybe he doesn't enjoy himself because he's got enemies and he's fighting and he's combative and pugnacious, but at some level, if you are a public person who is narcissistic, whose goal has been, as I think it has with Trump's case, to be on every magazine cover. When you go to his office,
wasn't he angry? He was angry. He wasn't on Time magazine's cover, right?
Absolutely. When Harvey Levin was interviewing him there in his office, and Trump was giving him a tour, and he had stacks of magazines with his face on it. And so, I mean, it's mission accomplished for Donald Trump. You've pointed out here, most stories we've talked about, you find a way to circle it back to Trump because there's a legitimate link. I mean, this guy is the number one personality on the planet.
I'm obsessed with him, but it's like, and you know what? It brings up the issue of whether or not there's Trump fatigue. Are we tired of this now, and we want to get back to some
normalcy? But do you see any sign of it? I don't see a slowdown.
No, because he's president.
And also because the major media outlets, I think, want to keep beating up on him. Because let's face it, whereas the Wall Street Journal is a little right of center, everybody else is a little left of center, whether it's CNN or NBC or CBS.
And the Wall Street Journal, too, is putting out these articles that are basically critical of him.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
they aren't always fond of him, but they're a little closer to his philosophy than the others. Let's talk about Donald Trump's moves, because I think it's kind of ironic. Now that he's sort of gotten his sea legs and he's used to the job, he's reverting to Mr. You're Fired, The Apprentice.
Yeah.
I mean, he's firing people left and right.
I've lost count of the names.
Well, let's go through them, because the interesting thing to me is that he is remaking his administration in a much more hardline approach. Start with Tillerson as Secretary of State. He's out of there and replaced with this hardliner guy, Mike Pompeo, who had been the CIA head.
Guy.
Yeah, and of course that was kind of interesting. You fire your Secretary of State by a tweet. Apparently, he found out about it by Twitter. Now, the news reports, and maybe you reported on this on KBC, were that Tillerson actually spent the weekend trying to save his job. So maybe he knew he was history and it was it. But perhaps we're told, I think, that he didn't know for sure, and he had to learn about it through a tweet. What kind of a guy fires somebody by tweet?
Well, Trump does. I mean, that's and he'll rule by tweet. Look what he did with this spending bill that he just signed the other day to keep the government open. First, they threatened to veto it. He turns around and signs it.
According to the Wall Street Journal, he shocked his followers and his staff. They thought he was going to veto it, and then he just sort of...
The staff doesn't know what he's doing.
On a huge issue.
The problem is, and now it's getting it's head spinning. It is absolutely head spinning, and you don't know which. Maybe it's great for the news business to be a reporter these days. He's the gift that keeps on giving.
Definitely great
as
for
a
the
reporter,
news business.
But it's like He did what? And 2 minutes later, he did another what?
Yep.
He did another, and it's just...
Let's go over the other two firings and hirings. So you got Tillerson out and a hardliner, and then you got Bolton, the former UN ambassador with the mustache, on the Fox News all the time. He replaces McMaster. McMaster was this kind of moderate, middle-of-the-road national security advisor, and Bolton is a flamethrower.
He's a hawk. He's a hawk.
And then the final firing or replacement, Trump had a lawyer, John Dowd, who apparently was, kind of a middle of the road, where he's saying, let's not fire Mueller, and he fired him just this week, and he replaced him with this lawyer named DiGenova, and apparently he's a flamethrower too.
I think it's DiGenova.
Is
not
it
that I
DiGenova?
want to. I think it is.
He's Italian. Whatever. He's Italian. And he supposedly is a real hardliner. And the question is he going to steer Trump toward firing Bob Mueller? And I started the show out by saying, are we going to be a teabag in the constitutional crisis?
And then what happens if and when he does? And it may be, and who knows? You never know anymore. Who knows? Let's presume he does. Let's say he fires him Monday morning.
Right.
What happens? You're the legal guy. What happens then?
Well, I'll tell you what happens. First of all, if he tries to fire Mueller, probably the guy he will direct to fire him, Rod Rosenstein, the acting Attorney General.
He can't fire him directly, right?
Exactly right. So Trump can't fire Mueller directly. According to the special counsel regulations, you need good cause, and the firing has to be done by the Attorney General, in this case, the acting Attorney General,
This
Rod
is
Rosenstein.
From Nixon years ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's similar. They changed the law a little bit, but it's similar. So the first question is, if Trump calls up Rosenstein and says, okay, you're the acting boss because Jeffrey Sessions recused himself, about which I am really pissed, but you're the boss, so I direct you to fire Mueller.
Yeah.
Rosenstein is going to say, well, Mr. President, the regs say I got to have good cause, and I don't think I do. I mean, if I thought I had good cause, I would have fired him myself, and so you're going to have to explain it to me, and I don't get it, at which point he probably will quit, just like the guys quit when Nixon tried to get Archibald Cox fired.
Trump can fire Rosenstein, though, right?
He sure can. He can fire him, and then what's going to happen is he's going to replace him with somebody who is more pliable, who will carry out Trump's wishes. Now, there is another inside baseball alternative. Trump could take the position that the whole idea of the special counsel is a creation of the Department of Justice by means of its regulations. And because Trump is the boss of the Department of Justice, he is the head executive of the executive branch, he could come up with new regulations and say those old regulations are out, and I'm getting rid of the special counsel, and I'm going to replace it.
He can do that unilaterally?
Yes, because he's the president, and he may promulgate regulations. Because what happens is the Congress passes a law, and then to implement the law, the executive branch comes up with regulations to enforce it and so on. So we could see that, but the bottom line is that I think the analogy to Nixon is going to be so direct that a lot of folks are going to be saying, you know what, Trump has really stepped in. And I think that the Democrats are actually hoping that Trump fires Mueller, because what they are going to do then is say, okay, we can't do anything until we take over the House, but we think we're going to take over the House in the November 2018 election. Once we have a majority in the House.
That changes things dramatically anyway. That might change things dramatically anyway.
Yes, in the sense that all you need to impeach a president, as we know from the Constitution and the Nixon and the Clinton situation, is a majority vote in the House. You need a 2/3 majority vote in the Senate to convict and actually get the guy out of office. But just to impeach, meaning to put him on trial.
It's 2/3 of the House, right?
Only a half. Only a majority of the House.
Sorry, majority.
So as soon as the Democrats get that majority in the House, which a lot of people are betting they will, then we're going to be back into this kind of crisis. I think until now, Trump has realized that it's like the third rail. You don't touch the third rail in the subway, you'll die. You don't touch Social Security, that's the political rail. I think he's considered firing Bob Mueller, as much as he'd like to, the third rail of politics for him, because people have convinced him it will be apocalyptic. It will bring you think people are coming down on you right now, the mass media? Just wait. You try to fire Mueller and that's it. Plus, I think they're saying to him, it looks guilty. If you fire the guy that's going after you, it makes you look guilty. And so I think what Trump has been doing the last several months is trying to figure out, where is Mueller headed? How far down the road is he? Is he anywhere close to giving up and saying, damn it, I wanted to get evidence of collusion, but I haven't found it yet? I mean, the fact that Mueller recently subpoenaed Trump's companies is a bad sign, because that means he's expanding the scope of the investigation.
And let's make it into his taxes, to his tax returns too, and this may be the root of all of it. Maybe.
Yeah. No, I think that's ultimately the problem, because I think Trump has probably bent a few rules, as I say, and as a result, what he's going to do now is he may be willing to put up with the Watergate-style fury, because his attitude may be, this guy is just too close, getting too close to the bone. The other firing issue that people were hot and bothered about was Andrew McCabe, fired, I guess, just hours before he was eligible for his pension.
Well, the pension thing, right?
Yeah, and I guess some congressmen were saying, well, we'll give him a job. We'll let him do some chores around the Capitol
mop
building.
up or something.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? Hey, when we come back, we are going to have a couple of features, Hot Tub Time Machine and our Moron of the Week candidate. And we're also going to talk about the immigration issue, whether the city of Los Alamitos and Orange County should be able to defy California's sanctuary city rules. Stick with us on the Royal Oak Show.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show. Come to Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurante to see memorabilia of movie stars and theatrical magic right in downtown Fullerton, California. The Art of the Great Masters in an Italian town square complete with storefronts of old, Italian butchers and cheesemongers, fruit and wine vendors, seamstresses showing their wares, the romance of Romeo and Juliet. Find our mystical Room of the Moon, and don't forget King Kong, Dracula, Frankenstein, and who knows what awaits you in the wine cellar. Enjoy the great food. We hand stuff our pastas, roll each and every tortellini, bake our own bread, and make all of our sauces fresh from our private stock of Sicilian family recipes. Pasta to seafood, chicken to award-winning pizzas, tiramisu flown in from Rome. If you can't find something on our menu to tempt you, you don't like Italian food. Try our Sunday brunch, all you can eat, just $21.95. And Angelo's and Vinci's has been named the best Italian restaurant in Orange County 2 years in a row, and our owner has been named Restaurateur of the Year. Angelo's and Vinci's, Fullerton, California, 714-879-4022 or angelosandvinci's.com.
Hi everyone, this is Fred Dreyer with a big announcement. My new movie, Highway 395, has just been released. Don't miss this classic modern-day Western set along Highway 395 in California. It's an action thriller with some romance too. You can own Highway 395 today by going to my brand new website, freddryer.co. That's freddryer.co. Get my new movie, Highway 395, and check out my new website, freddryer.co.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644.
Destination South Point. 11 great restaurants, bingo, bowling, movies, race books, sports books, spa, live entertainment, oversized rooms, and the rates unbeatable. The South Point Las Vegas. Book now. Online at southpointcasino.com or call 866-791-7626. southpointcasino.com or call 866-791-7626. At the South Point Las Vegas, you're always a winner.
Welcome back to the Royal Oaks
Campbell Show, ladies and gentlemen.
With our co-host Ken Jeffries. Ken, were you not a fan of Glenn Campbell? Do you have a problem with us honoring this,
I liked
this
his
wonderful
hair.
musician?
Not a hair was out of place. No, he was very good. Excellent musician and very underrated.
Wasn't he with the Beach Boys? He played his
session. He was a session guy.
guy.
He was with the Rickson crew, wasn't he? I think.
And then he
passed
had
away from Alzheimer's.
Fabulous career on his own.
I thought we'd give Glenn a shout out since we're playing a bunch of his stuff today. And let me say hello to the camera one more time to acknowledge. Okay.
So immigration is kind of interesting. The state of California comes along and says, oh, wow, we're a sanctuary state. And the feds say, oh, well, you can't do that. You know, we're the federal government. And the state of California attitude is, don't talk to us. We don't care if you're the federal government. We know our rights. We think this is right. We're going to do it. So now the city of Los Alamitos comes along and Orange County come along, and they say, we don't go along with the sanctuary state business, and yet the state is saying, don't try to disagree with us. We're the state. You know, you guys have no right. So it's a little inconsistency, I think.
I've heard the word nullification. Where have I heard that from? Oh, Doug McIntyre on KBC.
Doug loves to talk about nullification.
Nullification, and it's and he's right. And I mean, in my opinion, my humble opinion, but you know, can you disobey the is it disobeying the U.S. Constitution?
Yeah, and the problem is this: the federal law says the federal government gets to decide immigration stuff, and so the states can't come in and interfere with it. But then there's a question of whether the federal government has a right to sort of commandeer and deputize people in the state. You've got to help us implement our federal law. And the state of California has a right to push back on that and say, you know, we're not here to be your lackeys. And so then the courts have to figure out whether the state is in a position of saying, well, we're not going to be commandeered, but on the other hand, does it amount to interference? And I think some of the state laws that have been passed have gone over the top because they're essentially forbidding people in California from participating with the feds, assisting the feds, answering their questions, and I think that's going to be
I'm not
stricken.
a constitutional lawyer. Maybe you know, I think, wasn't there a section of the Constitution that addresses this issue? Any fight between the states and
I think we've talked about it a little on the show. The 10th Amendment to the Constitution says that if the federal government is not given a power explicitly in the Constitution, such powers are reserved to the states. And so that's been an effective argument by the states pushing back against federal government
abortion
immigration activity.
And all this other stuff too.
Exactly right.
Like,
so it's time for Ken Jeffries, our second candidate for Moron of the Week, and the second candidate is the Romanian judge who, in response to a request by a 63-year-old guy who had been declared dead because he went to Turkey for 20 years, and so his wife had him declared dead. So the 63-year-old guy, he had been in Turkey for 15 or 20 years. He comes back home to Romania, and he says, okay, I'm back. And the Romanian judge said, you blew the statute of limitations. You can't object to our determination that you're dead. So you're dead. And the guy said, but I'm here. He said it in Romanian. But I'm here. I'm alive. And the court said, we don't care. You're still declared dead. So I think they're a candidate for Moron of the Week. So let's vote. The candidates are the Romanian court that refused to acknowledge that a live guy was alive, or the drunk uncle who had his 11-year-old nephew drive to avoid a DUI. You gonna vote for the drunk uncle?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty even, I think.
I agree. It's unanimous. Hey, it's time for our Hot Tub Time Machine feature. Jose, let's play it, please.
What are you looking at?
Gremlins. Don't look. He's not there now. He jumps away whenever anyone might see him.
Ken Jeffries is
Hurry! Hurry! What's going on? He's pulling up one of the cowling plates.
He's pulling up one of the cowling plates, Ken.
Al Cowlings with OJ. No, I don't remember who it.
All roads lead back to OJ. Are you obsessed with OJ and Donald Trump?
Who is it? We don't know.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to inform you and Ken Jeffries at the same time. That was William Shatner.
Oh my God, that's right. We were going to talk about
the famed Twilight Zone episode titled "Nightmare at 20,000 Feet," when he saw out on the plane Bernie Sanders flipping off the first-class passengers. See you next week, folks.
CRN Digital Talk Radio prides itself on being the station of every situation. And you can listen to us on nearly any platform and device. Download to your iPhone, Android, and BlackBerry episodes of What's Cookin'. And take Master Sommelier Michael Jordan with you to the wine shop so he can help you pick out that perfect bottle of wine. Stream episodes of the Sonoma Wine Report through our CRN app, TuneIn Radio, Nobex, Stitcher, UTunes, or AHA Radio, and start planning that unforgettable weekend in the wine country. They're in your corner on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and many other apps. And of course, you can always listen live through your local cable TV provider, as well as on our website at crntalk.com. For more information on where to listen to these great shows, along with many others, log on to crntalk.com and create your own listening experience today.
The radio channels. The radio channels. CRN.
Time for the polka party, folks. This is Dick Sinclair. Welcome to the program right here on CRN Digital Talk.